The Cayman Islands are feeling much of the impact of Hurricane Beryl today. It is now a strong Category 2 storm, but it is expected to weaken to a Category 1 as it approaches Mexico. The storm impacted Jamaica as a Category 4 yesterday, and now many tourists who want to get off the island don't know when that will be possible. ABC's Lionel Moise reports from New York.
The Cayman Islands getting a weaker Hurricane Beryl, but still dealing with flooding and storm surge. Some say it's a blessing they didn't get the worst of the hurricane.
We started to experience some of the stronger winds sometime around about 4 in the morning, and then by 5 it was really blowing for a bit. We had very strong tropical storm force winds.
Jamaica, not so lucky, scraped by Beryl as a Category 4. Homes damaged and power knocked out for nearly 65% of customers. ABC's Faith Abube is in Montego Bay.
The height of the storm, there were about 400,000 people who were left in the dark. Officials tell us that there were also about 500 people across the island that had to go to government shelters to ride out the storm. Some locals here said that they don't have cell service. One of the major providers here had their towers down, and so they're working through that as well.
The U.S. ambassador to Jamaica says they are working with the Jamaican government to assess damage and help with recovery. These lines seen at Montego Bay's airport with growing frustration as people waited with luggage, unsure when flights would resume. It's hot. Many say they are hungry and thirsty. Police handed out water in the heat. Beryl is moving towards Mexico's Yucatan peninsula, expected to impact the resort areas of Cancun and Tulum tonight, with many travelers there hunkering down at resorts. Beryl is expected to eventually weaken to a tropical storm after it crosses the Yucatan Peninsula, but it could re-strengthen before making landfall near the U.S.-Mexico border Monday. Life-threatening rip currents are expected in the Gulf Coast through the weekend. Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
A lot of damage left behind by Beryl, really just wreaking havoc. And Evan, you've been tracking this. What's going to happen next with the storm?
Well, next, as we saw, it's the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico that'll have a Category 2 hurricane to deal with. We talked about Tulum and Cancun and Cozumel. And then it's going to go into the Gulf of Mexico, and it could impact northern Mexico and southern Texas. Even if it doesn't make landfall in South Texas, it's going to bring a lot of rain to that area. So here's the latest satellite view. Again, the storm is encountering some wind shear, so it has been weakening a bit, but it's still a Category 2 storm. Of course, here's Jamaica, here are the Cayman Islands, and here's the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, and this is Belize right in here. And Hurricane Hunter aircraft have been out there. They've been surveying the area back here in the Gulf of Mexico. That helps us in our forecasting because that information, where normally there's not much there, maybe just a few buoys or something, that information gets fed into the supercomputers to help make the forecast for the track of the storm. So that'll come out with the 11 o'clock advisory, so that'll certainly help give us an idea what might happen down the road. But right now, Category 2 hurricane with winds of 110 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at 20, going to weaken as it crosses over land and moves across the Yucatan Peninsula, and then likely re-strengthen back into a hurricane late this weekend, working its way here. And just it's kind of hard to see underneath the cone there, but right there is the line, the border between South Texas and northern Mexico. So it's likely going to come ashore somewhere close to that in some of the same areas that were impacted by Alberto just a couple of weeks ago. We'll likely see more rain, even if it doesn't make landfall in Texas per se. It's going to bring a lot of rain for that area. And again, the computer model's in fairly good agreement. A few still carry it a little bit closer to Houston, but they all are fairly tightly compacted here into that forecast track for northern Mexico and southern parts of Texas.